Here are the topics that will be covered in the US pressure groups revision video. This video will focus on the argument, are pressure groups too powerful? Politicians across the political spectrum agree that pressure groups are important for political pluralism and participation. Debates about their power focuses on the key question of whether their influence of pressure groups in US elections and government is excessive and undemocratic. For most Democrats, the answer is yes. Democratic presidential candidates Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden both promised to work to reverse Citizens United versus Federal Electoral Commission via a constitutional amendment. Republicans accused the two Democratic candidates of hypocrisy, as their campaigns were strongly supported by super PACs. Many Republicans approved of the Citizens United decision because it protected the First Amendment right of free speech and also freed wealthy corporate Republican supporters to make unlimited independent expenditures. However, a 2018 study showed that the public was deeply concerned by the role of money in US politics. 75% supported a constitutional amendment to reverse Citizens United, including 66% of Republican voters. There are deep concerns about the influence that pressure groups and corporations are able to secure through lobbying or buying with political donations. While it is not suggested that the members of Congress regularly make direct swaps of political favours for cash, the academic Lawrence Lessig has described a state of dependence corruption in which legislators prioritise the needs of the donors on whom they are dependent. There is an argument that pressure groups are too powerful. We're going to look at both sides of this argument, starting by looking at yes, pressure groups are too powerful. Pressure groups are elitist, well-funded interest groups, and large corporations have a far greater influence than smaller groups that may be more representative of society. The lobbying industry exacerbates the problem of elitism, as only wealthy pressure groups can afford professional lobbyists. The revolving door gives corporations, interest groups, and lobbying firms excessive influence over members of the executive and Congress. Iron triangles can lead to the executive and Congress taking decisions that benefit interest groups over the people. Some pressure groups are able to develop extraordinary influence in Congress. For example, the NRA successfully opposed gun control legislation from 2012 to 2016, despite support from the public and President Obama. The growing practice of submitting amicus curiae briefs in the Supreme Court cases favors wealthy interest groups that can afford legal experts. The United Citizens case increased the role of pressure group funding in elections, which is elitist and unpopular with the public. Pressure groups' election campaigning reinforces incumbency and can lead to dependence corruption in Congress. Direct action can also lead to violence, and pressure groups can undermine the role of political parties. Now let's look at the opposite side of the argument. No, pressure groups aren't too powerful. Pressure groups are essential to pluralist society and are protected by the First Amendment. Social movements can provide a cheap and effective alternative to the power of wealthy interest groups. The right to lobby is protected by the First Amendment, and the lobbying industry is subject to regulations. Access does not automatically guarantee influence, and legislators and the executive branch can use the specialist information provided by pressure groups to write better laws and regulations. Pressure groups play an important role in scrutinizing the executive and Congress. Legislators are accountable to the voters at elections who make decisions in their interest. Pressure groups can help legislators protect citizens' constitutional rights and liberties. For example, the NRA defends the right to bear arms. Pressure groups have brought many successful legal challenges to the executive's policy and federal laws, including important landmark cases that have updated the Constitution and improved civil rights. Political election funding by pressure groups is a form of free speech and enables a pluralist political debate. Pressure groups provide important information such as voting queues and scorecards to help voters decide whom to vote for. Direct action can put important issues on the political agenda and lead to lasting change. Pressure groups can also tend to support that the political party best serves in their own interests so that they can contribute to the US system of big tent politics.